All right, pretty simple setup for the lab today. We've got, we're going to measure rebound height for a ball that we're dropping. So how do we do that? We got meter sticks. We've done this before with the free fall lab. We taped 2 meter sticks together. The overlap that I used is like so. You can see how much of that's 20 centimeters overlapped. And that gives you, with 2 pieces of tape, enough strength to keep these 2 things from falling apart, and that way we don't have to tape them to the wall outside. So this is just going to lean up against the wall so you can see what heights you're dropping from, and you shouldn't have to tape it to anything. Okay, so our drop height, what's that? Well, I have drop heights in the document down here ranging from 0.5 meters, okay? Check the units at the top, 0.5 meters, 50 centimeters where we're starting, going all the way up to 1.8 meters. Be careful when you get to, this point above here. This is the top of my first stick that goes to the ground. So this is 1 meter right here. And then 1.1 meter would be where it's actually a 30 centimeter mark right there because we've overlapped them. So be careful that you're counting the appropriate height. When you go to drop it, a good thing you could do is you take an extra ruler. If you're the one dropping it, you don't want to drop the ball right next to the wall, right next to where the meter stick is, because it could hit it, or it could hit the base of the wall while it's falling or something. So you could hold your ruler I'm holding it at 110 centimeters now because I'm 10 centimeters above the first stick. So if I'm dropping it at 110 or 120 centimeters, whatever it's going to be, I can hold this ruler here, and that makes it an easy way for me to see where to drop the ball from. You got to decide, are you dropping the ball like the bottom of the ball at that height or the top of the ball at that height, because we want to get really precise measurements. So there's the drop height. Someone is dropping it. Someone else is going to be recording in slow motion, or really regular motion is fine too. But you should use the slow motion option on your phone. So like when we record that, here's one that's not in slow motion from my computer in my office. I dropped it from a certain height, and now I'm going back. Of course, on your phone, you can use your finger to slide through the different frames. But here's closer to the beginning of the video. You can see the purple ball here moves quite quickly downwards. So there it goes, a blur. It's only at 30 frames per second. So I dropped it from like 1.6 meters or whatever. And then it comes back up, and we see that point right there, where it seems to stop for an instant. So you see what's the highest point. And if you're dropping it from 1.6 meters and the top of the ball is at the 1.6 meter mark, then I'm going to measure where the top of the ball is on the rebound. So that's this is the bottom stick on the left side. So I'm at 80 centimeters, and then the top looks like 83. Okay, it looks like it's nice and flush with 83 centimeters. So that would be the rebound height. So there's a trial that I've recorded because I've got a recording of, you want to know where you dropped it from. I've already populated that data on the left-hand side table right here. So let's say I dropped it from, that was 1.6, and we just saw it rebounded to 83 centimeters. I typed that in as 0.83 because we want it in meters. And so we have that for our 8 different trials. I think we got 8 trials here, or 10. I forget how many we did. Or 10 different drop heights. Okay, so there's the data we're collecting. Drop height to rebound height. You can use the slow motion capture on your phone to get a really good measurement of how high it rebounds to. Other stuff you got to have in your lab table or lab guide. All the stuff in green you need to fill in. So you got your name, group member's name, the date up at the top. Objectives are there for you to read. Materials, list those. Procedure, put it in a list of steps of basically what you're doing. Once we create a table of information, we're going to create a graph, and we're going to do that electronically, digitally. So we're going to head over to Desmos. So I'm going to make a new tab and go to Desmos. Okay, and that's the graphing calculator. We're going to use this. You could use Google Sheets if you'd like, if you're comfortable with that. I think Desmos is the one you should start with. Okay, so it loads, and then we're brought to, I'm just going to go back to the tab I already have open. When we first get to Desmos, we'll have nothing in there, so I'm going to take my stuff out. Okay, and you can sign in with your EBR Schools thing, which I'll do so that I can save it. So if you do that, you can sign in, and that way you can save it. You won't lose your information. So after I have all of our data, let's say we're in our Rebound Height Lab. We have all this stuff filled in. Okay, we can just highlight all of our information and click Control C to copy. So I got that over here, and I made up some data. So I'm going to go over there to my made up data, highlight it, Control C to copy. So I've got drop height is going to be on one side and rebound height on the other side. So what Desmos is going to know is that the left-hand column is the X column, and the right-hand column that you copy from is the Y. So that's what we want. We want drop height on the X. If we drop it from this height, X input value, what does it rebound to? Will be on the Y value. Okay, so I've copied and copied just the numbers here, Control C. I've got the X axis drop height in the left column, rebound height, Y-axis on the right column, and then I just click into this field and go Control V. I paste it in there. Okay, and you'll notice that it automatically starts to plot the data. There it is. We want to label our stuff. You got a wrench up here, graph settings. Once that opens, then I can go and I can label. You can change everything. We want to make sure we got labels on there. So once it opens up, we're going to be able to label the X-axis drop height in parentheses meters, and then the Y-axis will label rebound height, parentheses meters. And then after we have that labeled, the last thing you can do is get a trend line. So if we look at this, plot that we have of the data in there, it looks like a straight line. We call that linear. That's not the best description of linear, but it's drawing a straight line. It's not drawing a curve. Okay, so that's something that we should see for this lab. So we're going to type in this equation. I'm going to type literally y and then the number 1. Notice it'll make it a subscript. That means it's matching this column up here. I'm going to do shift squiggly line, which is right below the escape key. That's the tilde. There's a squiggly line, so that means it's going to approximate a line of best fit. I'm going to type the letter M for my slope. I'm going to type the letter X because that's my X-axis stuff, and then I have to hit the number 1, and that corresponds to the X with the number 1 up here on the top left data table. And then I'm going to put shift equal sign on my keyboard so that I get the plus, and then the letter B, which represents the y-intercept, and now I have a line of best fit drawn on there, and it gives me some information about that. I want you to be able to make this graph and see this trend line, and I can of course zoom in and zoom out so that you can make a prediction about what the rebound height should be if we dropped it from, say, 5 meters. So if my x-axis is drop height, which I still need to label, if I drop it from 5 meters, I can use my trend line to see way up there. That y value should be the rebound height, and you can even click right there and it'll show you those numbers. All right, so I can make a prediction that way. The last thing to do, we want to put this graph in our lab guide. So you can say share graph, that button up here, or you can take a screenshot of this. I'm going to do share graph. I'm going to download it or export image. I think I got to move my face out of the way. There we go. Export image. Medium square. I want something, since I'm asking you to predict where it's going to land, what it's going to rebound to if you drop it from 5. You could pick a larger graph. That's probably too big. Let's try a large square. Just so I can see the number 5 in there, right? So that's pretty good. So I can see the number 5. I'm going to predict, be able to predict where it's going to rebound to if I drop it from 5 meters. Download. Again, you could also just take a screenshot of what you're looking at if you can do that. I'm going to put it in I'll put it somewhere. So I'm going to put it in my energy folder. I'm just going to call it Desmos graph. Rebound height graph. Whatever. Rebound height graph. Save. Okay. That part doesn't really matter as long as you can find it. I'm going back to my lab guide, my spreadsheet. Okay. And then I made a spot where you can just put your graph in. You can insert the screenshot. So see right here it says graph. Then I can just click in this. I'm just going to click on this cell, and I wrote insert your graph somewhere around here so I can see it. So I'm going to do insert image because we just downloaded an image. And you can do image over cells, means it's not going to like stick it into the cell. Image in cell is a new thing you can do. You just stick, it doesn't matter though. I'm going to upload it. I got to say, well, where did I put it? I think on your Chromebooks it goes to the downloads folder if you take a screenshot. Otherwise you should be able to choose. All right, where is our rebound height graph? There it is. Upload. This video is longer than I wanted it to be. Okay. All right. So there's my graph in there. You can maybe crop it and do other stuff with it. I don't know. See, I double clicked in it and it's waiting for me to type. So I'm just going to click out of it again. Remember, if you accidentally do something and you want to undo it, you can Control Z and we'll undo it. So if I delete this and hit enter, it's, oh, whoops. So Control Z. Bada boom, we're back. All right, remember that you label those axes in there. Reflection questions are at the end. Remember all the green things we want to fill in. So we get our question, you can type your answers in here. Hit enter to close it. Okay, and that's about it. Did we cover everything? I think so. All right, everyone needs to turn one in. Make sure all the green ones are filled out. But don't forget to insert your graph and answer the reflection questions. I have your rebound heights, drop heights are here in this column. Already picked out for you. These are the ones I want you to use. Rebound heights over here. Make sure you're measuring them as precisely as you can with your slow motion videos. All right. Over and out, team. Stop this thing.